Ciao ragazzi, it's time for the much settled, much appreciated final word. And the only thing better than doing it by myself, kicking it, is doing it with the squad. Christian Rivas, how you doing, man? Fantastic. Man, a few words. Mario Galliano, anything to add on this fine, what is it, Monday evening for you?
Monday evening, chill hardcore.
That's it. So let's talk a little bit of domestic Italian football and where we sit at the end of match day 10. Guys, after that little shaky start to the season, Inter once again showcasing why they should always be in the conversation this year. So I love asking Christian Rivas questions. I'm going to put him on the spot. Christian Rivas, are we winning the Scudetto or what?
I still think that we're gonna win it. Milan's not gonna be able to maintain what they got going on right now. Yo, it's not a 10 game season; it's a 38 game season. And it's a grueling season. I just don't think they have the depth for that type of scudetto. So, and
Yeah.
even then, I think Europa they'll crash out in the 2 rounds from now. I think they'll get by this round, and then they'll come up against an English team the next round, and out they go.
Yep, fair enough. Um, what we'll do is we'll do the usual format of the final word. We'll go through the results from the weekend and then we'll see how it fares up in their positions on the table. So I'm actually going to start with one of the later games this week, and I actually got to watch a fair bit of it. So I wanted to see what the boys thought about these two teams and their flow in the season so far. Roma and Sassuolo ended 0-0 in a game of plenty of opportunities, but no goals. Roma had a disallowed goal for Eden Dzeko, but that was about Pedro Rodriguez got a red card around about that 37th, 38th minute mark. It was his second yellow. I think this could be a little bit of a blip for him in his career because there are some players that later on in their career, they're running on gas and momentum. I think Pedro is one of those players. I don't think he can sustain his form all year for Roma so far that he has so far. He's been actually quite good, him and Henrik Mkhitaryan. Sassuolo, on the other hand, another week where they don't get 3 points after a big start to the season. Inter brought them back down to earth. So in terms of where they respectively sit on the table, we've got Sassuolo in fifth position, 19 points, 20 goals scored and 12 goals against. And Roma are in sixth, 18 points, 19 goals scored and 15 goals against. Both teams have 5 wins each. Mario, in terms of Roma and Sassuolo, what's your overall gauge been of them so far this season, particularly since Inter's come up against one of them?
I think Sassuolo's overachieving. I think they got a good team, but I feel like they're not like fifth place justified at the moment. I think they started off good, but since we beat them, it seems like it's just gonna kind of bring them back to life. Start losing games, once they start playing the other bigger teams as well. Roma, they're not convincing. They stink. I think I don't even know what to think of them anymore because sixth
They've
place.
like
You
they
told me sixth.
haven't been too bad in the sense that they've only lost 2 games, and one of them was that forfeit to Hellas Verona. But I just don't think they've got depth, bro. I think they're running on whatever flares in that starting 11. But in terms of the title challenge, hey man, you know what? Roma's the type of team that could get to the final of the Coppa Italia, no worries. But they're not winning this league, bro. No chance, and they're not getting close. Probably won't make top four.
They're not the Roma we're used to, where they're pushing third place, fourth place. They're sixth place. I think that's kind of where they belong, honestly.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Christian, what are your thoughts on Sassuolo and Roma so far this season, bro?
I just think Sassuolo is not really overachieving because they do have good players. They still got fucking that. Damn, I'm trying to stop cursing. They got that man Catelli, who's just dude's amazing in that midfield. They still got Berardi. They still got a couple other good prospects on that team. They're just a team that's clicking at the right moment. You know, uh, Again, I think they probably should have really got a result against Roma. Roma, like Mario said, just hasn't been convincing this season. Yeah, they wouldn't have got Pedro, but Pedro's on the last limbs of his career.
That's
Uh,
it.
Stupid red card, in my opinion.
Mm-mm,
Really.
mm.
But
Very dumb.
again, one fixture I low key want to talk about, even though it's been past couple weeks now, was now that you see now got those 3 points deducted, and look where they're at on the table. They're sitting at 20. If they didn't get those 3 points deducted, probably could have beat Juve, and they'd be sitting at 23 in second.
Yeah, fair shout right there. So let's actually go to another result. We'll go to Napoli beating Crotone 4-0. So we'll just talk a little bit about Napoli because in terms of the match against Crotone, there's not much to talk about. 4-0 is pretty self-explanatory. I will say this. How many more goals is Lorenzo Insigne going to score in the same fashion before teams just pick him the into the box? And yeah, I will swear that as well because this is Iron Robin all over again, man. This guy will score that goal another 50 times in his career and no one will be able to stop him. It's the same thing every single time. Big ups to him, man. I will take Lorenzo Insigne in a heartbeat at Inter, and I don't care what anybody says.
Insigne is just awesome, bro. Like what he
Yeah.
means to that city, and him coming up from Naples. Like, bro, it's just dope to see the man still balling. Even though people don't give him as much credit as he should, like the dude's just awesome. He's definitely up there for me. I love to see him play. He has good
Yeah.
move. He has good movements. He's got good vision. He's always at the right place at the right time and just strikes the ball lovely. Like he'll sit there and get a nice bend on it.
That's it, man. Napoli is a team that, anybody who watches this channel regularly will know I had them in the top four at the start of the season, and I'm going to back that till the end. But I don't think we've actually had your boys' opinions on who you think is going to make the top four and make the crack. So, Mario, before the season started, where did you have Napoli, and has that changed since till now?
I think I had them in the top four as well, like third or because I do like their team. I watch them a lot, and I hate Fabian Ruiz. I need to make that a point because he stinks.
You've already made it a point twice.
He
Okay.
got that pedophile look. All right,
Okay.
enough.
Just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. But yeah, I feel like they're a striker away from being the best team in the league. A striker and maybe like a center back. Because Oshiman, he's a good strike. He's a good player, but I don't think he fits their system because they don't need a striker that can drop into the midfield and like freaking do whatever he does because he doesn't score goals when he needs to score goals. You put him in front of the goal, it's like he has no idea if he wants to go right, left, cut back. He doesn't know where his legs are going half the time. I feel like if in Petagna he stinks. I would never put him on a starting 11 in Serie A, B, C, D. Maybe D. Representative B.
T3,
What?
T2, T3.
Man, I wouldn't even put him to play against Palermo.
Yeah.
I had Napoli top four, Juve, Inter, Milan, obviously. Juve's not the Juve we know and love, but they're still gonna be up there. They're gonna get the results against everyone.
Fair enough. Christian Rivas, where did you have Napoli at the start of the season, and where do they sit for you now, bro?
I honestly had him at 2.
2.
I had my personal opinion was Inter, Napoli, Juve, and Atalanta with Milan in 5th.
That was similar to mine, actually, bro.
I see Atalanta when they crash out having a resurgence. Even if they don't crash out of champions, they're gonna get it together. They just got too much, bro. They got so much talent on that team. It would be hard. It would be dumb for me to not take them serious as a threat still.
Yeah, fair enough. Obviously, if you guys haven't checked it out, their game was cancelled against Udinese due to a flooded field. So it must have been some pretty torrential shit over there. But they'll make up that fixture whenever they. Right, next one, and I've said this before, this could be the prediction that I get wrong this season. I had Lazio to finish 4th. They grabbed the 2-1 win over Spezia over the weekend, but they didn't look convincing. I watched one of those awesome 37-minute extended highlights, like mini match versions of them. I found it in Slovak or Russian or some sort of language. I don't know what it was, but I watched it and it was actually pretty decent quality visual-wise. Looked good, and they've looked good a couple of times this season if you actually watch them. They're one of those teams that they aim to leave everything on the pitch every game because it's a blessing to be in Serie A. And that's the way that they played against Lazio. For me, boys, Lazio's not showing me enough in Serie A to say that they can maintain the pace with Milan, Inter, Napoli, or Juventus this season. So I've said it a couple of times in the last few videos, so I'll go straight to Christian on this one first. Lazio this season, man. What did you think coming in, and what do you think now?
So to me, Lazio is one of those teams like, yo, they can either be really, really good or really, really bad. Like they're just inconsistent, you know. I honestly I rate Hellas Verona higher than I rate Lazio. Just being honest, they had a very good season last year.
Not doing too bad as well this season. Mario, quickly going over to you. Lazio, did you fancy them a little bit more before the season started? What have your thoughts been so far?
Yeah, I've been waiting for Lazio to just kind of like become Lazio again and just fall into mediocrity. Um, they have the players, but I feel like they've been figured out, and the inconsistency. Immobile, if he doesn't get a penalty, what's he gonna do? Like Milinkovic, Savic, and Luis Alberto, they haven't been the top two center midfielders in the Serie A like they were last year. They're good players still, but they're not, pushing that next level. I don't know, maybe they never had a break or whatever the hell it was, but their defense is sus, very sus. So
I will add something. I won't go on to the boys for this. You both haven't taken much of an interest in Spezia this season, but they're the way that they've taken to the pitch a few times. They've been able to get results against teams that you'd expect them to fight against, but you wouldn't be expecting them to get results. So they've already got the wins against Benevento, a point against Cagliari, a point against Atalanta, a point against Parma, a point against Fiorentina as well, and knocked Udinese 2-0. I'm just saying this again because in the next 2 weeks, they've got Crotone and Bologna. So I might look stupid and they might get pumped 5-0 every game and they're back 19th and I'm eating my words. But I'm just saying here, look out for 6 points in the next 2 weeks for Spezia and don't be surprised if they get it. Have any of you checked them out at all?
I saw a Spezia game. Honestly, the one thing I'll give them is they do defend pretty well. They do defend pretty well. They're pretty organized at the back. I mean, of course, they're coming from City B. You can't expect them to be perfect back there, but they do good enough.
Yeah.
Honestly, that 4-1 thrashing to Juve was a little overrated. I think that game was closer than the scoreline says.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, there was a pen in that game. I think there was a pen in that game. But there was two. There was a penalty Ronaldo hit. Rabiot's goal was just luck. Morata's goal.
Yeah, you're right. There was a penalty in that game. Yeah.
But Spezia actually played well that game. I just think the scoreline doesn't speak for how the game was played. So I've watched about 2 or 3 of their games, and they defend pretty decently.
I guess I'm just hyping it up right now because when it comes time for us to play them, I'm gonna make sure that no one expects an easy dub over there because sometimes, as we've seen in the past, these are the tougher games in Serie A. The ones that every team at the bottom parks the bus and leaves everything on the field. As Christian said, they defend well. They'll defend with their heart and soul when they come up against the mighty Inter. All right, next game. They might fall off eventually, but as of right now, I'm looking up. There's only one. Milan, 2-1 against Sampdoria. They weren't great in that game, but I did watch all of it, and they never looked like losing it. They looked like a team that knew that they were going to get 3 points, and they would have got there either or. And, I do think they're 1 or 2 injuries away from disaster because their bench isn't strong, in my opinion. Their team that is performing well and the focal point, your Ibrahimovic is when he's there, and even though he's missing now, Kessier is always going to be a rock in that team. He's becoming a focal point for their mental stability as well. And I'll say that they've just got this perfect youthful mix at the moment, Christian, and it'll be hard to break their spirit. Where do you see them falling off?
I see them falling off in January, end of December. To be honest. Again, I don't
their fixtures do get significantly tougher around that mark. You got Sassuolo away, Lazio at home, Benevento away, and Juventus all in the space of 12 days. You might be onto something here.
It's just let's be serious. Milan's Milan. Like they remind me of Inter a couple of years ago when we started off those first 10 games and we were winner champions, and then what happened?
Yeah. Fair enough, man. In terms of players that you think are performing well at Milan, Mario, what do you make of them so far this season, and who have you been impressed with there?
I've been a fan of Kessier since he signed. I feel like he's been very misfortunate with the team around him and himself. Last year he could have scored 3, 4 goals on the goal line. He missed. Just even along with the rest of them, Piatek, Suso, whoever was playing on the field could have scored 15 goals each, but they just decided to miss. So the the idea is there. I feel like they are a good team, but they will fall off. But I don't think it's going to be so drastic where they're falling like fourth, fifth place. I feel like they can maintain first through third in a tight race, drop in every so often while we stay consistent. Napoli stay consistent. Juve stays consistent. So I feel like they're going to be up there. They're not going to have a dramatic like downfall.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
like Rebic has been good. Teo's obviously good. Castillejo's been pretty good the past few games. Romagnoli, obviously, they just lost Kjaer to injury last game, I think it was.
Yeah,
Um,
bad.
status, but if he's missing time, then you gotta kind of question it. But he's in the freaking stud, so I feel like
Mm,
I think they'll be all right. I don't think they're gonna be anything to worry about, but they'll be up there.
cool, cool.
I just
Um,
fifth, bro. It's just it's Pioli, bro. He always gets figured out. He
Yeah,
always starts off on some little streak, and then he gets figured out, and he collapses.
he's got Ibrahimovic though.
It don't matter. He's still gonna
He's the
fall to fifth.
Fair enough. One team that I was not impressed with whatsoever in their manner of winning was Juventus over Torino. I mean, go figure, but hey, I live betted that shit. I always do with Juventus. It's the most Mario, bro. How can it get any more obvious than this, man? Like, it didn't even cross my mind. As the time was ticking away, I'm like, 50th minute, 55th minute, 60th minute. Yeah, can I get Juventus to win? And I got them at really good odds as well, man. It's nuts. They're not performing well at all, bro. Not performing well at all. But I will add one more thing before I go to you. And I said this in the last. Torino just might be one of the most hopeless cases in Europe this season, man. If I was a Torino fan, just do yourself a favor. Don't watch the games, bro. Or turn it off at least 20 minutes before the end because more late goals than I've ever seen a team concede in my life, bro.
I pull for Torino. They have Belotti, they have Sirigu, they have, they got the OGs from Palermo, so I gotta stick through them.
They
But
dead set haven't been bad this season. Their losses have been a lot of losses where they could walk into the dressing room and go, good game. Like, we played really, really well, but nothing to show for it, bro, ever.
it doesn't make any sense because they play like 70 minutes good in 20 minutes where they just like walk. They might as well just walk off the field and say, all right, score 6, 7 goals. We'll come back we'll come back for the final whistle and we'll go home. Like, what's the point if you can't? I think it's mostly the manager, uh, because if you can't train a team to play for 90 minutes, where every time you have a lead, 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, whatever the hell it is, and then you just give it away in 50 minutes, game after game after game. Something's wrong. The mentality's not there, and it has to change. You got to beat the shit out of these players if you have to. Like, so it's bad. You can't lose games like that because they are not that bad for 70 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny,
And
man.
what about your thoughts? What about your thoughts on Juventus before we go to Christian?
They stink. I mean, they're in a limbo right now. Like, it's gonna be good eventually, but right now this Juve team is the worst Juve team I've seen in a very long time since they were probably in Serie B.
I like
Got to
McKenny.
capitalize.
I can
You like him?
I like McKenny.
He's all right. The fact that he's able to score headers in games as well, it just reminds me of somebody else who was performing well for us at the start of last season and we haven't seen since. But man, Christian, your thoughts on Juventus? I guess we already know where you stand on them this season. You've been very vocal about how if Inter's ever going to get a Scudetto, we got to take it this season, bro. We got to cuff these guys while they're down. But yeah, give us your thoughts on Juventus and, Torino as well, bro.
I just don't think Pirlo is the right coach for them. I just think he was a cheaper option because they don't have the money to hire another coach. That's just what it is. And Torino, like Mario says, 70 minutes of good football doesn't win you games. 90 minutes does.
Yeah.
And going back to Juve, can we talk about one thing? And the one thing that's kind of annoyed me is everybody's avoiding the whole Suarez situation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder why, bro. Kissed on the you-know-what, as per usual, cuz. No repercussions at all for the club? Nothing? Zero?
There's of a point deduction and all that and a transfer ban. But my issue is you don't see any other site like ESPN or even Italian football TV or anybody acknowledge what Juve did. And you guys are supposed to be the news reporters, right? They're supposed to report the news. They're not reporting that. So what's the deal? But if that was Inter, best believe we'd be all over the place.
For sure. Last game, of course, that we're going to talk about. Actually, Verona did tie Cagliari, and Christian, I'll go over to you because you're someone who's been a little bit of a fan of how Verona's played this season and probably last season as well. I just remember them being really, really tough to beat last season. What are your thoughts on Verona, bro?
No, honestly though, I think Ivan Juric got them going good.
They've conceded the least amount of goals in the league so far.
Yeah, Silvestri has been doing great. Like, if you saw that wonder save he had, he legitimately saved Verona from losing that game. You know what I mean? He's done well. Verona actually had a pretty good season. They beat Atalanta. They beat Atalanta. They drew Milan. They beat Benevento. They're doing what they gotta do. They tied Juve. You know what I mean? They're getting the points they need to get there. They also beat Roma, remember?
Yeah. Did you know the guy that got fired, or the guy that was responsible at Roma for screwing all that up? He was employed by Hellas Verona like 2 months later. Solo Serie A, baby. Let's go over.
Verona got Lazio coming up. I could see Verona beating Lazio and jumping them on the table to move up. It's just Verona. I don't know what it is, bro. Like, watching them the last few seasons, they've actually been doing well. They've won 4, tied 4, and lost 2.
Yeah, they'll probably, every game that they get a result, not even a win, just a point, they'll always see it as a positive. And it's always a plus when you have zero expectation and you can always take positives back into the dressing room after every single week. That keeps momentum going throughout the season. Last but not least, Inter 3, Bologna 1 in a very easy game. Could have been 5-1, could have been 6-1. What I really is, I was chilling, watching it, 7 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was. When we conceded and it went to 2-1, I said to myself, if we could score a goal in the next 2 or 3 minutes, like legit response straight away, I will forgive what the fuck just happened. And bang, straight away, like a team that dominated the whole game, we scored 180 seconds after that, maybe even less. I already did a post-match reaction and all that jazz, so I'll go straight to Mario Galliano. What did you think overall about Bologna, man? Give us your lowdown.
Bologna's not a bad team. They always give us problems, especially Mihailovic. Once he took the hot seat in Bologna when they were in an absolute mess, he fixed them up, went on a 10-game win streak or whatever the hell it was, and then his first game was he beat Inter. First game right off the bat.
We knew he was going to win. We probably discussed it and said, we know this is going to happen.
We did. And I feel like they're progressing decently well. 10th in the table right now. So normally they're a little bit lower if I'm not mistaken. They're kind of like lower mid-table. No, something like that.
Yeah, usually they sit around lower to mid-table, but they usually get those points against teams like lower than them throughout the season to solidify that spot, and then they always chip a point or 3 from us. And
always chip a point from us.
Somebody else.
So It's a good win. Obviously, like I always say, we're beating the teams we need to beat. That's the most important thing. It doesn't matter if you beat Juve 10-0 each leg. What you do from 10th place or second place to 20th place. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad we won. I wasn't worried that we were going to lose at any point. It was a solid game all around. Ericsson though, I don't want to talk about.
Look, we won't talk about it because we're gonna have to regroup after this Champions League game anyway and talk about something. So Lukaku, that I've got to say, his goal was pretty impressive. The way someone of his height, weight, and caliber can center their core and just their overall center of gravity so quickly in order to get another shot in. Like, oh my God, bro, guy is an absolute freak, and I'm so happy that he's out.
He should have had two.
Yeah.
He was 1-on-1 with the keeper.
Oh yeah, that was bad. Right foot.
Yeah. Christian, Bologna, easy dub, probably what you expected. Who stood out for you, and what are the positives going on?
Yo, hold on.
Cristiano. Oh, good. Take your time, bro. I'll just keep going. For me, sweet.
No, that Bologna game. Yo, honestly, like I said, I like what I saw from Lukaku, but I also expected better that finish. Yo, you're 1-on-1 with the keeper, bro. You could have easily chipped him. It's easy for us fans to say it, but for me, Lukaku's on the cusp of being a top 2 striker in the world right now. Like the only person that I can honestly say that's better than him is Lewandowski. You know what I mean? Like, there's nobody else right now statistically that's better than him. And what he brings to the table for Inter as a leader, it's hard to say that there's a better striker out there that has that type of impact. Before I would have told you Suarez all day, but Suarez is on his way down. So it's kind of hard to say that.
Yeah.
Remember,
fair
we're always
enough.
talking about who's going to replace Icardi, who can realistically be better than him, and I said literally pick anybody. We picked Lukaku.
Literally pick anybody. We've scored the most now, and a lot has to be attributed to Romelu Lukaku. But we've got to talk. How good was it to see Hakimi get a breakthrough performance, Mario?
2 left-footed goals. He was going up and down and inside. We haven't really seen him go inside much this year. I feel like if he can find those pockets in between the center back and the wing back, whoever it is, it's lethal because we don't have those higher up wingers to create the confusion, right? They're always starting from the deeper positions, which it works for Perisic, but Hakimi, once he gets up there, it's straight down the line. There's no diagonal runs going in much because we have the 2 strikers now, so cluttered. So once Lukaku opens that pocket, it's very important that Lautaro, Hakimi, Perisic, that they make those second runs in because that's when we're going to kill them. So anyone who plays soccer, who coaches soccer, will tell you those diagonal runs are devastating. And Hakimi found it. 50 goals.
Cool. Christian Rivas, anything else to add again about the Bologna game? We lined up in the midfield with Brozovic, Gagliardini, and Vidal. Perisic started. Sanchez started. Look, for me, bro, and I like talking to you about Alexis because I know you've always got good things to say about him. He was awesome for me as well. A couple of other outlets gave him a real bullshit rating of like 5.5. But for me, man, the way the guy drops back 30 yards more than he's probably required to pick up the ball and distribute it. Yeah, sometimes he's a little bit long on the ball. But for me, man, Alexis is having a great impact every single time he's on the field for Inter, bro.
When it comes to ratings, I don't want to talk about too much because people get sensitive over that. Like, just being realistic, everybody rates players differently. I'm going to say he was a solid 6.5 for me. And I rate you having a good game at around 5.56. Great game, 6.5. Amazing game, 7.
Yeah.
I just think the impact he brings off the ball as well is important. He does a lot of tracking back. He opens up defense with his movements. People do not understand his off the ball movement is so crisp. And what he does, he opens up holes for other players. That's the thing that people fail to realize and fail to understand. Yo, like, I'm sorry, but Darmian, Hakimi, these guys are not getting into positions they're getting into without a move from Alexis or Lukaku or Lautaro. Yo, Lautaro might not be finishing as well as he should be, but
But he
his run is
carries.
very helpful. He knows where to go. He knows, like Mario said, the diagonal run. When these guys are making runs and cuts, they're opening up space for these wingbacks to get down the field. And
Yeah.
without some of these movements, Hakimi doesn't finish. He doesn't get the opportunity to shoot on goal. Lukaku,
Yeah.
same thing. Without the movements from Alexis and other players, you know, you don't see some of those goals that we have right now. We wouldn't be at
Yeah.
26 goals. We'd probably be around 20, 21. Like,
Yeah.
just putting
That,
it out
that ball that Brozovic played for, I think it was the first goal to Hakimi, where he just
there. Oh,
he
beautiful.
put it over perfectly. Look at how much space was in the middle of the field because I think it was Lukaku. He just made a simple 5 yard checking run to the ball or whatever. The defender picked him up, and Hakimi, the left back, left him. He tried to pass him, but it was too fast because Hakimi's a freaking animal. By the time you communicate that, he's got the ball. He's in front of goal. Nobody to defend him until it's too late. That's
Yeah.
the movement is so important in this game. Alexis as the second striker, very very important.
He's a
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just so glad we got him, and for the deal that we got him for, it's one of the most underappreciated transfers in world football. But it doesn't get the credit it deserves. But nothing at Inter really does. So
And
I'm just
just
really happy he's ours.
just to say, a lot of people won't sit there and agree with me for some off the wall crazy idea. I don't know what goes on in their head, but Alexis is world class, dude. A
Mm.
player of his caliber at Inter, he is a world class player. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you say. Certain players at Inter are world class. Certain players at Inter are not world class. But when you got a player like Alexis that can easily change the momentum of a game, the snap of a finger, that tells you they're world class.
Nice one. All right. Thank you to the boys for a very, very solid, good chat about Serie A. We finished off match day 10 in second position, 5 points off the pace from Milan. And like I've said before, that gap can't get any bigger. It's all about closing it and making sure that we are where we belong. So until next time, Christian Rivas, thanks, bro.
Dude.
And Mario Galliano, as always, thanks, my man.
You got it.
No worries. From all of us here at Inter Worldwide, Forza Inter, ciao ragazzi.